You're listening to CinemaJaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location at CinemaJaw Studios in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye the Movie Guy, and sitting alongside us is Filmy and Phil.
Hello!
This week on CinemaJaw, Matt, we get excited for the fall movies and recap the Toronto International Film Festival with our blockbuster episode fall movie preview here on CinemaJaw.
I have two orders of business at the top here, Ryan. First, I have to give a shout out to my friend David Coote, who has written comments that you've read and mispronounced his last name.
Coote?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never read a Coote.
You have. I think it was just a few episodes ago. He sent me a box of Atari games. I'm starting like a vintage side hustle. And thank you, David. There you go. Second question. Now that we're getting into the fall, have you had a pumpkin spice latte?
I have not. Are
you a pumpkin spice latte stan? I mean, are you?
No, I don't go crazy. I know there's people that get so excited that Starbucks starts serving these. There's a line out the door.
Well, now you can get them
ridiculous.
everywhere, yeah.
I do have an espresso machine, which I believe you have one as well.
Yeah, long story, but yes, got one.
But Nespresso does make a pumpkin something other coffee that they release right around. And I bought a sleeve of it. That's about as far as I'll go. I'll have like 1, 2. I'm not the biggest pumpkin guy. You?
I mean, yeah, I have my requisite pumpkin spice latte once a year, and then I'm done with it. It's good, and I like it, but, one's enough.
What I get most excited for...
It's like the Shamrock Shake,
What I get most excited for is being able to put on like a sweatshirt or sleeves at night. It's my favorite look,
Yeah, me too.
I'm looking over at Phil. This is what I'm talking about.
I got my hoodie on my chair in the office.
We got a nice sleeves on Phil. It's something that you can like throw in your bag, and then like as the day goes on and you get into night, cools down.
It might be chilly,
and you throw those sleeves on. I love that.
I do
that
too.
Good stuff. That makes me excited for fall and Halloween and all that good stuff too. Not to mention great movies.
Speaking of great movies, Ryan, you just got back from Toronto.
I did.
You attended the Toronto International Film Festival.
I sure did, Matt.
Better known as TIFF.
I am going to talk about that in 1 second. Just other things we are going to talk about on the show, though. We should mention. We are reviewing A Haunting in Venice.
Yeah, the new Kenneth Branagh Agatha Christie adaptation.
Yes. And in honor of Michelle Yeoh month, we are playing Michelle Yeoh movie trivia. Stump the Kubinski, since we don't have a guest. 5 questions on Michelle.
Can I do the whole trivia segment in the voice of Sylvester Stallone?
No.
Please? No. Yo.
So before
I don't know.
Before I talk about Toronto, let's kick it off with the Michelle Yeoh fact, since we are still celebrating her this month.
Yes, and we are continuing to celebrate her career with more of her badassery, similar to the last episode. Because, dude, is there anything this woman can't do? She is super good at getting into fights. But we have a little bit of I don't want to call it a slip up or a goof. While filming the Cantonese film The Stunt Woman in 1996, Michelle Yeoh did injure herself during the shoot and almost broke her back, which is that's a tough one.
That's a career ender.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
And
ask Batman.
That accident led her to questioning her career choices. She recalled, and I quote, "You're lying there and you think, okay, maybe it's time to think of something else. Do I go back to school? Do I do this or that?" I ask myself that, and I don't even break my back. Quentin Tarantino, who is a big fan of Michelle Yeoh's, like we all are, visited her while she was in recovery, and he was breaking down his favorite action sequences that she did frame by frame, and she said that action renewed her love for acting.
Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you. She went on to say, "I thought to myself, I do love this work. I'm not going to give it up. I'll just find ways to make it safe for myself," and I think that is good. I think that's super relatable for all of us to kind of get discouraged, and we can live by Michelle Yeoh's example and never give up the things that we love. CinemaJaw's still here.
Indeed, yeah. Those Hong Kong movies can have some pretty dangerous stunts.
100%.
And they don't have the same safety standards that they do in Hollywood, Like Jackie Chan, watch some of his interviews. He's got some stories.
I'm sure. The other fascinating thing about that fact, Phil, is Quentin Tarantino's just visiting people in the hospital.
Good for him.
Can we dig around more here? Does he find fellow actors that have been injured and he goes and visits these people in hospitals?
He's like the silver screens Make-A-Wish. They don't get to see Spider-Man. They're just like, we brought Quentin in to see you before you kick the bucket.
The best Quentin Tarantino story I ever heard came from Adam Fendelman of HollywoodChicago.com. And I won't tell the story. I'll let him do it. I'll just say that it involves LSD and a urinal.
It's a nice tease.
Right?
Like all great stories do.
We got to get Adam back on to tell that story.
I have not even seen Adam at the screeners in the longest time.
I saw him at Beau's Afraid, and he bought me a popcorn.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Love Adam.
But it's been a minute. Yeah, that was, in February?
Right.
So, yeah, a little while ago.
So, yes, Matt, you asked about Toronto, and I did go for the start of the Toronto International Film Festival. This is my 4th time covering the fest.
Wow. Good
Crazy,
for you.
Right?
Yeah.
So 3 times in Toronto. One of them was remote during the odd COVID year of 2021.
We don't count that.
But
Yeah.
3rd time going. Everything went smooth going out there. Saw a lot of Chicago people, which is what makes it so great. Is there's I'm familiar with the city. I'm familiar with the fest, the theaters, and so forth. But then also, there has got to be, I mean, off the top of my head, somewhere like 10 to 12 people that I know from Chicago that end up going to Toronto to cover the fest.
Is it very spread out or just a few venues?
So it's mainly very well contained. So the main street, they call it Festival Street, which is King Street in Toronto. They close it down for the first 4 days. And they have bands that play at night. And about 3 theaters, which are where they do the premieres, are all located on that street, which makes it nice. So that's why if you see these pictures or video of the red carpets, those are literally about 2 blocks from each other with 3 big theaters. And when I say theaters, not movie theaters, but, places that could do
Like a
stand-up comedy, a playhouse,
Yeah.
things that can hold thousands of people. Those are all in a row. And then you have the TIFF Lighthouse, which is sort of the ground zero for the fest. That is a movie theater and also has conference rooms. That's housing some screenings. And then about 4 blocks away, they take over a whole multiplex, much like our AMC 21. They take over
About that size?
About that size. I would say actually even a little bit bigger. And they take over the whole entire thing. And it's just, from 8 in the morning till midnight screenings of movies. Over 200 feature films, I think, screened at the Toronto International Film Festival. It is a ton.
So you've got press passes, and we'll circle back around to that. But I want to ask a little bit about the party scene. You said 8 o'clock in the morning. Are you getting to these 8 o'clock in the morning screenings, or are you like red-eyeing it? And
I'm a professional, and I burn the candle on both ends because, I like to have a beer and talk movies and shop with, fellow critics and so forth after the movies. So, yes.
But you get to bed at a reasonable hour?
I would usually go to bed around 1 in the morning.
That's,
Decent. I mean, I wasn't staying up much later than, I think the latest night I had was about 1:45 in the morning. But I would be getting up, CinemaJaw's budget on is shrinking here, Matt. So I was staying a little ways from the fest at an Airbnb. So by the time I would have to get up and then either bike or walk almost a mile to the fest area, I got to leave the house for like an 8 in the morning screening, and you want to line up at least 30 minutes ahead of time. So I'm leaving the Airbnb by 7 in the morning. That is early.
Yeah, screw that.
Coffee in hand, breakfast bar, watch a movie, another coffee, another movie, and then go home and take a nap.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of pleasant, right?
It is.
You don't really have to do much.
Right. So it is. The great thing is it's literally movies, coffee, and beer. That's the way I look at a week in Toronto. Because,
What about the food?
And then the food. But I will say it's actually difficult to find time to eat because you're running a lot of times in between the screenings. Like, got to catch this.
And nobody eats in the movies.
And nobody really eats in the movies. No, it's pretty quiet and
It's kind of faux pas.
I don't want to say that, but it's definitely a more serious crowd because a lot of critics are there, like myself, and there's just more serious tone in the theaters, which does make it actually, if anything, more enjoyable. But no one wants to be sitting in front of somebody checking their phone or eating nachos.
Yeah, big bag of Doritos.
Right. There's none of that going on. None of that going on. But a couple of movies in the morning, take a break, and then I would see a couple of movies like early evening and then maybe a midnight madness.
So you're doing quadruple to quintuple features.
Yes. 4 movies about 3 of the days I was there. And
Wow.
I ran into our friend Brian Tallarico from RogerEbert.com. He would do sometimes 6 movies in a day. I think he did that 2 times. 6 movies in a day. Whew. It's heavy duty.
That's insane. I almost don't think I would enjoy that.
So I think by the end, I went on, the fest started on a Thursday, and I went all the way through to a Tuesday. And I was done by then. It was like, all right, I need a break because I'm not enjoying the movies anymore, you know. So about 20 films in that time, and in such quick succession. Sometimes you see a couple of stinkers in a row. It's like, oh my goodness, you know.
Yeah.
I'm tired of.
So you're going to take a
Sitting
little
in the theater.
cleanse? No movies this week?
I took a couple days off. Let's say that I got back and I actually had total free time Tuesday night and Wednesday night.
Did you read a book?
And I didn't read. I went for a nice walk one day. I watched Ahsoka on Disney.
It's kind of like watching a movie.
Yeah, but it's only 40 minutes long kind of deal.
All right, yeah.
Played a video game one day and just
There
sort
you
of
go.
relaxed.
Yeah.
You know?
You had to activate your brain
Right.
and your muscles.
Right.
So what does this press pass get you, man? Because I could easily obtain one of these.
Oh, yes. We got to get you out to
I know.
Toronto.
I got to go. I was telling Phil, next year I think I'm going to
It's
do
so
it.
much fun. But the press pass gets you into all the press and industry screenings, the P&I screenings, which are, they really do run all day. But the focal point, like in the mornings, will be when your big screenings are for the premieres that'll be later on these red carpets and in the big playhouses. They'll do the P&I screenings either the next day after those premieres or earlier in the day before they premiere. And those are just first come, first serve for
But you gotta have a
anybody who
press
has a
pass.
press pass.
Yeah. And how many presses are there?
It's a lot. I mean, there's theaters that hold like 500-600 people, and it'll fill. So there's at least that much.
Because this is press from around the globe.
Oh, 100%. Yep. And then what's great, I rushed. There's another option where you can actually rush for tickets. And what that means is if one of the premieres is full, there's always going to be, 10, 20, 30 tickets that do come available out of the, big seat theater, like 2,500 seats. You're going to get some tickets that come available at last minute. Those are available to anybody who wants to line up and wait in the rush line. But if you don't have a pass of any sort, you just pay for the ticket. If you have the pass like I did, those are also free. And I actually used it this time for Dream Scenario, which is the new Nicolas Cage. We'll be talking about a little bit later today. I waited in line for about 90 minutes, talked to the nicest lady from Toronto that was just there as a fan. She takes the week off of work. She buys about 10 to 15 movies, and she just loves cinema. And got to talk to her about, the inner workings of the fest, how she sees it as a fan of the movies. She bought her ticket. I got in also. And this was a premiere with Nick Cage in attendance. And it just worked out that I got to get into this particular one. Because if not, what happens then is the next day when you go to those P&I screenings, that Dream Scenario with Nick Cage is going against something else that I want to see at the same time. So you have to pick and choose. So if you don't get into a premiere at night, you're going to miss one of the 2 movies that are going against each other on the schedule the following morning. So by sort of doing a premiere at night, you're eliminating another movie the next day that you might have to see at the P&I screenings.
Got it.
It's pretty
Complicated.
Oh yeah, I mean you almost got to. We were talking, between the critics, all the ones that I saw there, like Brian Tallarico, Eric Childress, Robert Daniels. You got to make a spreadsheet. You literally get excited and see what's important. Where can you see things at certain times, and then sort of make your, You got
to plan your day.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, because you also do got to plan in. I mean, I didn't make a ton of time for lunch, but then you got to figure, hey, I want to. Grab a bite to eat. I shot a few videos for YouTube. There's times where you're like, well, I'll try to do this and get away. And then I do a Sunday, I got out of the fest completely and went to the distillery district in Toronto and just did some sightseeing, went to a brewery, just taking the sights and sounds of Toronto just for an afternoon. And then I went back at night and watched a movie, which was good, but get a little bit of a break and see Toronto too.
Yeah.
So, but
Sounds like fun, Ryan.
So much fun in Toronto. That I saw, like I said, 20 films, and my list as we do this fall movie preview is going to consist of movies that I saw at Toronto A couple of them don't have release dates. It's to be determined in the fall, and I'll get to those. But I'll do my best, JawHeads, to tell you when these are coming out. Matt's 5 picks are 5 movies that we're looking forward to in the fall, and that's how we'll do it. I'm going to start because I got a few extras that I want to ramp into my number 5.
Okay.
Right? Here we go. At number 8, I have Zone of Interest. This was actually the first movie I saw at the festival this year. It's directed by Jonathan Glazer. So he directed Under the Skin, starring Scarlett Johansson, about 10 years ago. He also did Sexy Beast. I've talked about that movie as well. So I really like Jonathan Glazer. He also did Birth with Nicole Kidman. And his new one, Zone of Interest, is actually a Holocaust movie about a German family raising their kids in a very nice house that is right outside of Auschwitz.
Yikes.
And it is really showing you how they just turned a blind eye to the evils that were taking place. And there are just some devastating shots of kids playing in the backyard amongst themselves in this house. And you can see a chimney inside the background, inside the camps. I mean, just shots like that, or the family waking up and smelling stuff, in the air and closing their windows. And the film's not going to work for everybody. It was great to see this one at the festival because it plays so seriously, and you need it to be super quiet. And I think when you're in a theater of 500 people and everyone's in tune with the movie, it's just that much more powerful. Played really well. Might not be for everybody. That's why I put it at number 8. Number 7 on my list, Flora and Son, starring Bono's daughter. Did you even know Bono had a daughter?
I didn't until I saw your review on YouTube.
Unbelievable. This one is directed by John Carney. He did Sing Street, the movie, once. He's always doing
music
movies. And Flora and the Son is the same. This one comes out on Apple TV at the end of the month. It also stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Bono's daughter is Eve Hewson, by the way. Number 6 is Dream Scenario. This is the premiere I got into, starring Nicolas Cage. And he plays a regular kind of Joe Schmo teacher, balding guy. And he, for some reason, starts appearing in everybody's dreams around the world as just a regular guy. He's just walking around in people's dreams when they go to bed. And he becomes an instant celebrity. The subtext here is talking about how people become a celebrity. And then when they start having nightmares about him, maybe about how cancel culture works.
Really interesting.
Very interesting. And it's downright hilarious. I mean, this is awesome. This is A24.
Nicolas Cage and A24 sold.
Yes.
Sold.
This one comes out November 10th.
Okay.
And
I'm in.
Absolutely enjoyed the hell out of it. Cage was there, and he talked about this being one of the 5 perfect scripts that he's done. And he went on to name them. He had Adaptation in there. He had Leaving Las Vegas. He had Pig, and he had Vampire's Kiss. And now he has Dream Scenario. As you said, I've made a lot of great movies, but a lot of it happens in the editing room, or, other people's magic really makes it. He was like, these are the 5 movies that I didn't want anything changed from the script. This is just brilliant. Let's just film exactly what's on the page. And this one worked. It was a riot. So do look for Dream Scenario, November 10th. That was my 8, 7, and 6. So now we can go back and forth with our top 5.
So does that, you want me to kick it off officially?
Yes. Your number 5 film that you're looking forward to this fall, Matt.
All right. I have not seen these. That's the caveat, because nobody has. They're not out yet. This one comes out October 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Stars Anne Hathaway, Marissa Tomei, and Peter Dinklage. Sold right there. 100%. The name of the movie is She Came to Me. The premise of this is Peter Dinklage and Anne Hathaway are a couple. She is a meticulously neat freak therapist, and he is an opera director, writer. Okay? He's got writer's block, can't come up with his next opera, so he meets Marissa Tomei, who is a tugboat captain and perhaps a murderer, and she becomes his muse. And I guess from the trailer, I ensue that some sort of relationship happens that's sexual in nature. So it's a love triangle between Peter Dinklage Anne Hathaway and Marissa Tomei.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Cannot wait for this. I love Dinklage.
I love all the actors you've named there.
Same.
And I actually have not seen the trailer for this, so
It looks really good.
I will have to watch this after we get done recording.
It's so what they're positioning this is a new take on the rom-com. It's like a rom-com subverted.
Okay.
So we'll see if it lives up to that.
Nice. Good pick at number 5. One to look forward to there. My number 5 pick, fifth best film and most excited for the JawHeads to see that I saw in Toronto is called Hitman. And this is one of those that doesn't have a date other than just to be determined this fall. And this is Richard Linklater's new one. And it stars Glenn Powell, who is just emerging as the next big movie star. He was in Top Gun Maverick. He was also in Devotion. And he was in Richard Linklater's Everybody Wants Some, and that was more or less where he got his start. And this guy's definitely blowing up. And this film shows his talent, through the roof. I mean, this guy really is going to be something. He plays a teacher who works part-time for the police department, and he ends up being an undercover agent that is positioning himself as a hitman that people are coming to give him money to knock off either their wife or business partner, and then an arrest is made. But what happens is he ends up falling in love with one of the people that come to see him. This woman,
A client or a target? Okay.
A client comes to say, "Hey, I want my husband knocked off," and he talks her out of it. And it's because the chemistry between them on this meeting is clearly there. She clearly likes him. He likes her. He talks her out of it. And then around everybody's back, he ends up starting a relationship with her. And I'll just say this, ends up she's not divorced, and her husband finds out, and he wants to hire a hitman to knock off the guy that's dating the... You see where this is going?
A hitman to kill the hitman?
It was funny, very well written, and you get these little vignettes of the characters he would play. As he says, you need a hitman that would be suitable to do the job. So he's undercover doing ridiculous characters that match the clientele that are coming to seek his services. So funny, very enjoyable. Hitman, Richard Linklater does it again. This is a good one. Again, to be determined on a release date, but it will be out this fall.
All right, Ryan, my number 4 is the new one from David Fincher, who is consistently amazing. I can't think of a David Fincher film that I hate, There's some that I like more than others. Some of his movies are among my favorites of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And this one looks to be pretty interesting. It stars Michael Fassbender, and it's about a hitman who's, kind of going through his emotional journey and his detachment from humanity. And it is called The Killer. From what I can tell, this is coming out on Netflix on November 10th. I don't know for sure if it's getting a theatrical run. I hope so.
Yeah, I think they're going to. It's probably a week or two ahead of that. I know Netflix, with their big fall releases, and this being one of them, likes to put them in the theater for at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so look for this in early November, late October.
We hadn't seen Michael Fassbender, it feels,
It's been a while.
A long time. And I've watched the trailer for this one. I love Fincher. I love Fassbender. And it seems like Fincher going back to that era of Seven or maybe even Zodiac.
Fight Club, Seven.
Right?
Gone Girl. Yeah.
I love when he gets into those. So, yes, I'm super excited for this. I know this did not play at Toronto. It did play or is going to play at Chicago International Film Fest. So maybe we'll catch it early. Man.
We probably will.
Yeah. Nice pick. My number 4 that I absolutely adored, I love Anna Kendrick.
Who doesn't?
She made her directorial debut, and this movie in Toronto, screened at the time, had no distribution at Toronto. Netflix has purchased the movie for $11 million.
That's great for Anna Kendrick.
Yes. Anna Kendrick directed a movie called Woman of the Hour.
Okay.
And it is, she stars in it and directs it. And it is about based on a true story of a serial killer in the 1970s, was in the middle of his killing spree, and he went on the television show The Dating Game.
Yeah. That was somebody. That was like a really famous serial killer.
I know he's got a name, a nickname. I know he has a nickname, as those serial killers always do.
Can we throw that in the jaw box?
Throw it in the fish tank?
In the fish tank. Wow, I'm going way back.
Who is the serial killer from the dating game?
No, which serial killer
Went on the dating game?
Yeah, in real life.
Right. So this guy, while he was in the middle of his spree, was one of the bachelors. So you would have like a girl, and then there would be 3 eligible
Bachelor number
bachelors.
1.
Right.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the show.
Yes, and he ended up winning a date with that woman. He was the one that he picked. It's fascinating, but
I think I remembered which one, but we'll allow Phil their moment of glory.
The way Kendrick structures this film is brilliant. So the dating game is the centerpiece, and it's the whole production of it. Tony Hale from Arrested Development plays the host, gives a little bit of humor to the moment, but basically you're getting an actress who Anna Kendrick plays is given the opportunity to go on
a date with a serial killer.
Right. Basically, right? So she's going to go on the dating game, and then in between that is all of the other murders that he has done either before or after the dating game. But the dating game is a key to the investigation getting closer and closer to catching who this guy actually was.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Zac Efron may have also portrayed this person.
Really?
Yeah. Unless I'm wrong.
Okay.
No, I think that was who was the one that everyone said was really charming?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Right, it's definitely not him.
Okay.
Is that Gacy or no?
No.
Gacy was the clown.
Oh, yeah, that was the clown. I'm terrible.
That's a Chicago one. How do you not know that?
I'm not into my serial killers.
Come on,
to be
Ryan.
honest.
It's almost Halloween time.
Sorry. But my number 4 pick, Woman of the Hour. That was the other one that was to be determined on release date.
All right. That brings us to our number 3s. I'm going to get us started here with the new one from Martin Scorsese.
Ooh.
Everyone's excited for this. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Jesse Plemons, Lily Gladstone, Robert De Niro, Brendan Fraser, among others. If Marty's making a movie, anyone who's anyone is in it. It comes out October 20th, Ryan. And it's based on a true story. Takes place in the 20s. Members of the Osage Native American tribe of Osage County, Oklahoma, are murdered after oil is found on their land. And it's one of the first cases of then agent J. Edgar Hoover, FBI agent. So this like sort of a career maker. It's a chapter in American history that is all about sadness and greed and exploitation, revenge, and it looks, like it's going to be one of the movies we're talking about during Oscar time.
Sure. Killers of the Flower Moon.
I believe it's also an adaptation of a book.
I read the book.
And?
Excellent.
Oh.
Well, I mean, the story, I'm so interested to see how Scorsese depicts the story on screen, because the book, while fascinating in its own right, it was not what I saw when I watched the trailer that is out there now. I'm much more excited for the movie. But I was fascinated that this was really the birth of the FBI. Like, literally, so many people were getting killed, and the crime was just going up and up and up to the point where you couldn't trust anybody. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, there's nobody to trust anymore because everybody's in on this crime. So you need to start some type of agency that can go into a town or go into somewhere and be the actual law.
Yeah.
And they needed
needed the FBI.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation.
You know what I've just put together? Scorsese adapts books pretty much, right?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. I mean, Summer Sam is really the only one that pops into mind that I don't think is an adaptation. Can we throw that in the fish tank? How many of Scorsese's films are book adaptations? I'm going to say 90% of them.
Wow. All right, we'll see. My number 3 pick is a return to form for one Paul Giamatti.
Oh, so nice to have him back. I thought I saw him in an insurance commercial playing Einstein. Pretty sure that was him.
It is him. That is him. Okay, I love Paul Giamatti, and one of his best roles, let's be honest, is Sideways. And that was directed by Alexander Payne. The two of them have not worked together since. It's been 19 years. It seems ludicrous that these two would make another movie. They have re-teamed up for a movie called The Holdovers, and that is my number 3 pick. This one comes out October 27th. Paul Giamatti plays a teacher at a boarding school that is tasked with staying at the school on campus to watch over the kids who couldn't go home for a holiday around Christmas time. And there are about 6 students that need to stay with them. Eventually, 5 of those students have somewhere to go, leaving him with 1 student. And it is sort of a throwback to that classic story of a teacher that actually is in need of, a kid, and the kid who really does need a father figure coming together and sort of forming their own kind of family. Wonderful, heartwarming, touching, hilarious. I think I can call this one Oscar nomination for Paul Giamatti. He
Really?
was excellent in this movie.
Wow.
And it is right up his alley. He's always using like big words or quoting authors. The character just fits Giamatti so perfectly. It was a joy.
Yeah, Giamatti, like I said, playing Einstein in an insurance commercial, and I'm like, man, how the mighty have fallen. So it's good to see him back.
Yes, and I sent out a tweet or a Instagram on story, and I had said, Paul Giamatti, Alexander Payne, let's not wait another 19 years to work together again. I mean,
no shit.
You guys got something here. It's a great collaboration. Let's get the next one in the next 5 years,
Yeah, Sideways is one of my favorite movies, man. Love that movie. All right, Ryan. I might get a little bit of crap for putting this one above Martin Scorsese, but I'm going to stick to my guns on this because I'm a little bit more interested to see this. You talked about a great collaboration with Alexander Payne and Paul Giamatti, and I totally agree. But what about Yorgos Lanthimos and Emma Stone? That is a fantastic collaboration.
Oh, yeah.
And it is back in full effect with the movie called Poor Things. Now, I encourage everybody, if you have yet to see the trailer, go ahead and see this trailer because it is, even the trailer is just some kind of weird phantasmagorical acid trip. That's what it looks like. It switches between black and white and just a kaleidoscope, and it's weird. Defoe is playing sort of a Frankenstein doctor and he kind of looks like Frankenstein's monster who brings Emma Stone's character back to life, and she has to relearn everything. And this movie's about her adjusting to society, filtered through the twisted brain of Yorgos Lanthimos, who also famously gave us The Favorite, which was their first collaboration, and movies like Dogtooth and The Lobster. Mm-hmm. So he's bonkers to begin with. And I think this might be a bit of a comedic turn. Like from the trailer, it doesn't seem to have that disturbing edge that a lot of his movies have. It looked like a little bit more fun than your average Yorgos Lanthimos movie, while still having some of that twist to it.
They all are dark comedies, though, right? I mean, The
True.
Favorite was hilarious.
So is
The
Lobster.
Hilarious. And even Dogtooth, as disturbing as it was, I was still laughing quite a bit. I wanted to come to Toronto, but it went to Venice. These film festivals compete against each other, and it did win the top prize at Venice. So I am super excited. I mean, anytime Yorgos Lanthimos has a movie, I'm in. But I'm right with you. I think this could be the start because, yes, they did The Favorite. But if they do Poor Things now, and who knows what's to come between him and Emma Stone.
Emma Stone is a producer on this.
Oh, great.
Isn't that interesting? This comes out December 8th.
Can't wait for that one.
Mark your calendars.
I'm super, super excited. That would actually almost be my number 1. I don't know what you got sitting at 1. I'm excited for it, though.
I got a good one.
All right. My number 2 film that I saw at the Toronto International Film Festival is directed by the master himself, Hayao Miyazaki. And that is, I know you're going to laugh at the way I say.
Just say it the way you say it.
The Boy and the Heron.
The Boy and the what?
Heron.
You see, now you're couching it. You were like, in the video, you're like, Heron. Yeah.
Heron.
Which my joke is like, I expect to see a muscle-bound bird bust out with a sword and battle axe. Heron.
So this was my most anticipated movie going into Toronto. And this was one of those that I had to get up at like 6:45 in the morning.
Oof.
And get to the fest early. I was not going to miss this. And it was the only press and industry screening that I could make while I was there. There was one later in the week, but I already was going to be out of town. So I knew I had to see it. And I got there in time. This one, JawHeads, comes out December 8th. So mark your calendars. And I got there on time and got in there. I loved being able to catch this at like a huge festival screening because this is another one where it's absolutely packed. Everybody's there with such an appreciation for Miyazaki, such an appreciation for the animation on screen that it was just like a perfect audience. You know what I mean? Like you really want to just soak it in for as long as you can. And I think like everybody had that same mind frame. Like, let's enjoy this. More than likely, this is his last film. It is somewhat of a farewell letter by Miyazaki. There's a character in the film that, clear as day,
kind of like an avatar.
Yeah, that is an avatar for Miyazaki. And some of the words of wisdom that he passes on is a character wrestling with and coming to terms with his mortality. He knows he's nearing the end of his career and his life and his words of wisdom that he's going to pass on. And it's just a big emotional beat. I mean, this guy's a genius. The animation, always fantastic. The worlds he creates are crazy. It reminds me very much of Spirited Away. And for me, that's a good thing because that's my top Miyazaki. So I'm right there. I'm like, hey, I heard a lot of people say that as like a negative. Oh, it's too much like Spirited Away. Well, all right, Spirited Away is in my top 20 greatest films of all time. So I'm okay that it's like Spirited Away. Has the dream world sequence. There's a lot to like here.
You were raving about this in your YouTube video.
I have one
which
more.
Which is available on CinemaJaw. Check it out.
Yeah. I have one more that I'm going to get to that I'll explain why it came in at number one. But I love this film. I will say in December 8th, it's going to be, will not be the English dub. There is supposed to be one down the line. They do that.
It's okay to watch subtitles.
100%. But I was going to say to the JawHeads, do try to check it out in a theater. The sound design's great and the animation looks great. It's a masterpiece, I would say.
All right. I'm in. So who do you put above Martin Scorsese and Yorgos Lanthimos?
I'm trying to think what other big film is coming out. Oh, there is one more big one.
Yes, it's coming out November 22nd.
Just dawned on me.
Right around the end of the year. It stars Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby, among others. It is directed by Ridley Scott, who gave us Blade Runner and too many others to name. Napoleon, the story of Napoleon, the lover, the fighter, the emperor, Napoleon. I'm not going to go into it. It's the period piece about Napoleon's rise to power and I guess his subsequent fall. I don't know if that's part of the film or not. We'll find out.
I saw the trailer. I was so excited. It looks bonkers. I mean, it looks epic.
Yeah.
I love movies that have that feeling like it's just bigger than you can imagine.
Oh, this is another great collaboration too. They did Gladiator together.
They did do Gladiator together.
Yeah. And can he top Beau is Afraid in terms of performance? I think this looks like it will.
It's funny because I didn't ever picture Joaquin Phoenix being a good Napoleon.
He's perfect.
But then when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, yeah, he's perfect. This is going to be great.
Why? Because he's too tall?
Too tall, yeah. I always pictured him more like a Paul Giamatti type, to be honest. Kind of like a shorter, stockier, balding guy that's just pissed at the world.
Like you.
Right.
But no, honestly.
Get those Hurons out of here.
Phoenix isn't that tall. Is he?
Throw it in the fish tank.
Let's
How tall is
find out.
Joaquin Phoenix? I would say he's at least 5'8". 5'10". I'll say he's 5'10".
5'10". All right.
And look up how tall Napoleon was supposed to be. I know they argue that, and he used to stand on boxes like Tom Cruise, but
right. I think it's become part of his legend that he was short. Who knows the truth, right? It's not like we have photographs.
The tail of the tape. We'll get to it.
Yeah, we will.
I am looking forward to that one. Nice number one pick.
Thanks. What do you got?
So my number one, I think why I ended up landing on this one at number one was I was not expecting much, okay, I was expecting something with a Miyazaki film. I had other ones in mind, like, ooh, Paul Giamatti and Alexander Payne, this is going to be incredible. But when I came across a movie called His Three Daughters, I only was really seeing the movie because of the cast. I was very interested. It stars Carrie Coon, who is Steppenwolf alum here, Natasha Lyonne from American Pie fame, who's been blowing up lately. She most recently was in Poker Face.
Orange is the New Black.
Yes,
yeah.
she's
okay.
awesome. And then Elizabeth Olsen, who we all know and like. Those three play sisters who come together in a New York apartment because their dad is in hospice and is about to pass away. And it's in that maybe week, 5 days that someone is going to pass away and you're trying to get arrangements done. And these three sisters are all in different stages of their lives. You have Elizabeth Olsen's character, who is a new mom and just very excited about life and portrays that she has kind of like the perfect life going on. Carrie Coon is the oldest of the three. Her kids are grown and she's almost kind of resentful with life a little bit. And then you have Natasha, who is playing a stoner that actually lived with the dad and has a boyfriend. And it's funny, it's sad, it's funny, it's sad, it's funny, it's sad, all the way through. So I literally caught myself crying, and I mean crying, and then laughing out loud. And isn't that so true when someone's passing away? Those exact emotions when you're recapping someone's life and you're at peace with it, being a parent or someone, a grandparent, and you have those moments where you cry, you get emotional about something, and then you start talking about their life and you start laughing about how they did this and how you're happy that you were around for that. This movie has those beats perfectly. I mean, the ending, I was so emotionally moved. I literally sat in the theater through the entire credits.
Just to gather your...
Yeah. And I wasn't alone. I'll just say that. This theater was crowded, and I could tell most people just didn't want to get up and leave because it just hit you, And especially if you've gone through it, like recently, if someone's lost a grandparent or parent, it's going to hit even harder. But most people have gone through it. But I felt comfort in it, too, because death is a part of life, and it's something that we're all going to go through, being, a spouse, a parent, so on and so forth. And I think that the movie also helped with that. It is really special. The shocking thing is, talking to Brian Tallarico afterwards, he had saw it. He also loved the movie. He was the one that informed me it was one of the films that went to the fest without a distributor. So just like Woman of the Hour that got sold, as of this recording, no one still has purchased it. But it was getting a ton of buzz at the festival. So more to come on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. So more to come on that one. His Three Daughters, it's entitled.
Wow.
So,
that's an interesting little question you brought up in my mind. At TIFF, does everybody sit through the credits, or do you go ahead and get up?
Most actually get up because you're in a rush
you want
to get to the next screen.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So the crafty veterans like Tallarico and Eric Childress, they sit together a lot of times, and they sit
right by the exit
on the aisle, and they get up instantly. I mean, they are gone because it also is tough to get out of a theater of 500-600 people. You know how it shuffles through. They're already gone. They're already in line on the next screening. I'm learning with, I sat with them a couple of times and I saw their moves like, oh, yep, get up and go to the here. And it works, So
interesting.
Got to be quick on your feet over there at Toronto.
Those are some good lists.
Yeah. Lot to look forward to this fall. I think we're going to have a fun fall movie season, Matt K.
I love fall.
So do I. We have a movie we still got to talk about. Is it worth seeing? A Haunting in Venice. We got that. Plus Stump the Kubinski coming up. All of that with us right after this. Let's all go to the lobby. We continue our celebration with Michelle Yeoh. Instead of playing a movie clip of her as some action star, she also pops up in the very funny romantic comedy Crazy Rich Asians. Here she plays the mother-in-law to be, giving a very heartfelt, maybe kind of mean speech to her possible daughter-in-law.
You asked about my ring. The truth is, Nick's father had it made when he wanted to propose to me because Amma wouldn't give him the family ring. I wasn't her first choice. Honestly, I wasn't her second.
Gosh, I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
I didn't come from the right family, have the right connections, and Amma thought I would not make an adequate wife to her son.
But she came around, obviously.
It took many years. And she had good reason to be concerned, because I had no idea the work and the sacrifice it would take. There were many days when I wondered if I would ever measure up. But having been through it all, I know this much. You will never be enough. We should head back. I wouldn't want Nick to worry.
Sparkling drinks, dandy, 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 dandy.
And we are back on CinemaJaw. Matt, before we get to that Venice review and play some trivia, we threw a few items.
Quite a few.
And some fun ones, too, into the fish tank. I saw Phil smiling, looking up the facts.
I can't wait.
Let's open up that fish tank.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up! No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, get some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Thank you so much for welcoming me out of the fish tank. The joke's on these guys. I'm smiling because I'm on X. I'm reading funny tweets. I'm not.
Oh wait, you mean the social media service? I thought you meant you were on ecstasy.
That too. I'm on all the things. Whatever is not my job right now, that's what I'm doing. These facts aren't real. I'm kidding. These facts are real. Our first one: which real life serial killer, went on the dating game? That would be Rodney Alcala. Obviously, none of us like talking about.
I told you it wasn't
Never
the
heard of
guy
him.
who you were thinking of.
Yeah.
I should have looked that up while I was in here, but I didn't, and that's because of the ecstasy and Twitter. You know what, though? I'm proud of me for how much under the influence and distracted I was by my telephone. I did. So how many Scorsese films are book adaptations? I did a little bit of math for this even. 17 of them are books.
See, that's a lot.
I don't have time to go through and name all 17 of these like I normally would because 17 is a big number. Please forgive me, JawHeads. I did look up, he has directed 25 films, though, not counting the 16 documentaries, which I'm not even mixing in, making that 17 out of 25 films about books. And Matt said 90% are book adaptations.
That was my guess.
68%.
Okay.
Well, not 90. 17 out of 25 is still nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. Definitely not. He does a lot of book
He
adaptations.
really does.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
The next one, I feel like we can't do two different humans disservice without I'll start. I'm 5'9". Matt, how tall are you?
Like 6'1".
5'10". Minus 6 inches.
So it was how tall is I love
I
the
didn't
world
even
where-
pick up on that. I actually just bought it. 5'10". Wait a second.
Well, it took me a minute because I was like, oh, okay. But then I was like, wait, that's one taller than me. That's not true. It was how tall is Joaquin Phoenix and how tall was Napoleon? Joaquin Phoenix, 5'8", so only an inch shorter than me. Which I'm not going to I'm not bragging about 5'9" by any means.
I'm 2
but-
inches taller than Joaquin.
Yeah. And get this, Napoleon is 5'6". You're 4 taller than
Oh
him.
my God.
Well, Napoleon was shorter than Ryan?
Exactly. Wing.
Wow.
I will say 5'6" is really not that short.
I
I'm a little,
agree.
I'm pissed off because I have a Napoleon complex, and it's like, what for? I'm 3 inches taller than this son of a bitch.
You're right, though. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is way too tall to play Napoleon.
No, I mean, we're
2
talking
inches
2
is
inches.
nothing.
He's 5'8". Napoleon was 5'6". It really isn't that far off, I guess. I was expecting Napoleon to be more like 5'1", 5'2".
Right. Like, the stories make it sound like the dude's real little.
Yeah. True.
But if you're what did you say, 6? And you're just
5'6"?
like a bossy guy, I guess it's like, the little guy, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of
Like
attacking
you.
him.
Right.
Son of a bitch.
Instead of attacking him for all the things he's doing wrong, it's just like, you're little.
Ryan, I challenge you to get a Napoleon hat and wear it into the theater to see Napoleon.
Ryan does do
That's
every
not a
time he's
bad
got
idea.
a.
It's not a bad idea, you know? It's like, oh, let me take my hat off before the movie.
I will say, every time Ryan's got a button up, you can't miss this guy doing that thing where he
Yeah.
sticks his hand in his shirt like Napoleon. All the
Because-
time.
More than likely, we're going to get a press screening for Napoleon.
Oh, yeah.
I would probably actually be willing to do that, Matt, because we know just about all the film critics here. So me walking into the theater with the Napoleon hat would be outrageous.
It would be awesome.
That would be.
Me
Yeah.
and Matt got to fill up our end of the bargain and get one of those 2 people inflatable horse costumes, and we'll be the horse that you ride on.
That would be epic. We got to make this happen.
Oh my!
We got to make this happen. We really, really do.
Wow, that is
We'll
some good
film
stuff.
it. We'll do a video. I'm going to make sure this happens.
Oh.
It's Halloween. You can get a costume pretty easy.
I know. I'll look into it.
All right, cool.
Also, next week that was some good stuff there. Next week on the show, I think we're going to be talking Dumb Money, which is the movie
Okay.
about the GameStop stock.
Oh, yeah.
I've already seen this in Toronto.
Was it good?
I really enjoyed. I think you're going to love it, Matt. So once you see that,
Paul Dano, right?
Paul Dano, also Seth Rogen
Yeah.
and Pete Davidson,
Okay.
among others. Sebastian Stan's also in the film.
Wow.
So it's a stacked cast.
I love a good stacked cast.
Yeah. So I think we'll be talking Dumb Money on next week's show, and we have a guest. Hopefully, we'll find that out.
Yeah. Let's confirm with the
Yes,
guests. Yeah.
before we make an announcement. But
Indeed.
So we're looking forward to that. Was that everything in there, Phil?
That's all I have, at least.
All right, jump back in there.
You bet.
Ryan, back in 2017, Kenneth Branagh directed and starred in Murder on the Orient Express, an adaptation of the famous Agatha Christie novel in which he played the greatest detective in the world, mustachioed Batman. I mean, Hercule Poirot. That was followed up by the 2022 adaptation Death on the Nile, and fans could see that Mr. Branagh had a franchise on his hands. This year, we get A Haunting in Venice, a decidedly creepier mystery, mixing murder with ghosts and curses. But can this spooky sleuther solve the mysteries of our heart, or is it just Scooby-Doo-Doo? Ryan and I donned our masks to find out.
Mama? Felicia? What is happening?
I'd like to begin by letting you know this is a horror movie. True, it's a murder mystery also, but the usual murder mystery beats are wrapped in a nice horror blanket that had me jumping out of my seat more than once. It's not disturbing or gory or anything like that. It's more of a spook with some well-earned frights. I was pleasantly surprised by what can sometimes be a rather formulaic genre. The second thing I need to mention is Venice. The set and setting of A Haunting in Venice is the titular city, and Kenneth Branagh really knows how to make it both shine and glower when the mood of the film calls for each. It's a sumptuous beauty of a city by itself, but here it's showcased in a period film in the most dazzling and dreary way. You can feel the dampness and drippiness ooze off the screen. Very atmospheric. Finally, before I open this up for discussion, I'd like to mention the cast. Tina Fey turns in a very stylish performance in that 1940s dame we might see in an old black and white movie. And dame is in air quotes, by the way, folks. Michelle Yeoh, while a bit underused perhaps, absolutely melts the screen in one monologue that had me thinking she is way too good. Seriously, an actor at the top of her game. The movie might just be worth it for her small role alone. Branagh himself is even more comfortable in the role of Poirot than ever. Truly, he is sinking into this character. His charm, humor, and bravado align perfectly on the screen. This is a mystery worth solving. Seek it out and get spooky season started early. So, Rye, what did you think of the actual mystery? Because I didn't talk about that in my review. Could you spot who done it from the beginning, or did you need to follow some of the clues?
So my complaint when it came to Death on the Nile was I figured it out way too early. And this time I would say I did not have it figured out. And in fact, my guess, I had a guess. I think everybody goes into these movies, and once we have an introduction to the character, starts to think who they would put money on.
That's the fun.
Right? My guess was wrong. And I was not sure it was wrong until way late into the movie. So they fooled me this time, let's say that. And I thought I had a pretty good pick. How about you?
I had no idea till the very end. I mean, because we talked about this a little after the screening. There's always those red herrings, and it's like, oh, that's not the person, that's not the person. But there was also a few dummies that weren't red herrings that you thought it was going to be them, and then it wasn't. So I didn't spot who it was.
Yeah, this one I would say was probably the best of the mystery, trying to figure it out. I still don't know if I'm a fan of the explanation of the mystery. I love when, be it Knives Out or Clue, a good whodunit, when the explanation comes together and it's like a aha kind of moment. Well, I feel those are missing here a little bit.
I think you're right. I do. And I wonder if this is a flaw of the original source material. I don't know. I'm not a big Agatha Christie reader myself. My mom was super into the novels. But I like a whodunit where if you pay attention, you can pick up the clues. I don't think that's the point in the Agatha Christie films that we've seen from Kenneth Branagh, because the explanations that Poirot comes up with, no, you're never going to have seen those things, you know, because they don't even show them. It's not a game that you can win. You just have to enjoy watching Poirot win.
Right. And I do think like the ones that I'm referencing, you can do that. And it's even better when you go back and you watch a movie a second time, like Knives Out.
Or Sixth Sense. Where
you go back and you're like, oh, look at that. Look at that.
There's clues along the way.
If you went back and you watched this, you would still not see anything that actually tips the hat to who the killer was until Poirot comes out and just spells it out for you. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess it makes sense.
In one scene, and I'm not giving anything away, no spoilers. In one scene, there's a character that we didn't know was in the scene. And Poirot reveals that to everybody. There's no way we could have known that.
Right.
Like, there's no tipping of the hat. There's no clues that you can follow as an audience member. I agree. I'd like to see more of that. I don't know if that's in the novels or not. But anyway, speaking of the novels, there's a bunch of them. I think she wrote like 20-something novels. How many of these Agatha Christie movies do you think Branagh has in him? I mean, how many more is he going to make?
Well, I would say this is the best of the three.
I agree.
So we're on an upward swing right here. But it was, I would actually... I thought Death on the Nile was the worst of the three. That's where I'll go. So I would say, ranking them, I would put it at number one being A Haunting in Venice.
I'm almost positive you said you liked Death on the Nile better than Murder on the Orient Express.
I can't say 100%, but the first two, neither of them did I love. Not that I love this one either, but I really like this one. Let's say that. So let's just say it's on an upswing. And I do think these are very, it's easily digestible entertainment. And for the masses who just want to put on a good murder mystery, which a lot of people like, it makes sense. So I think we could see him make 2 to 3 more of these, to be honest.
Wow. You think we're going to get 5?
The other thing we have to consider is they're great for large ensemble casts. They always
super
involve...
Great. It people.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to take that in consideration too. These are great. Like Tina Fey in a movie like this is perfect, right? Michelle Yeoh, her character, excellent in here. So it showcases the talents because a lot of times it's not necessarily one actor carrying a film. It's an ensemble piece. They come in, they nail their small part, and it's a team effort. And I think actors like that collaboration in a large ensemble piece in a good setting like Venice. I think we'll see a couple more of these.
If Paul Giamatti wins the Oscar you're predicting he's going to win this year, he's going to be in the next Agatha Christie movie. I guarantee.
It could be. He could.
Do we want more of these?
Again, easily digestible entertainment. I could take it or leave it if I'm being 100% honest. It's not something that I would be like at the boardroom table saying we absolutely have to have this.
You know what we
part
need?
Of the studio.
More Poirot movies.
Yeah, I would not
Get
be
on
saying
that.
that. However, if they come down the pipeline, I'm not upset. I'll watch these movies.
All right, we're celebrating Michelle Yeoh this month on CinemaJaw. Do you agree with me? Was she a little underused? She's great in the movie. I could have used a little bit more.
She is. She's great in the movie. Her character, unfortunately, doesn't call for her to be in the movie much more than she really is.
Mm-hmm.
And she needs to be big, powerful moment in one particular scene because that actually propels the story forward.
True.
So if we had more of her, I don't know if the story would have necessarily
if you
been
switched...
able to sort of quote unquote blast off the way it did. It really takes off after a moment that she's on screen. And then if she was to linger on and do something else, how would the story actually go
Well, what
forward?
I'm saying is if we switch her role with Tina Fey's role, Tina Fey is throughout the movie.
Right. But could Tina Fey, that doesn't mean that Tina Fey's performance is more important. I think Michelle Yeoh, we need to have that strong performance to believe this whole setting that we're under. Her particular scene, I think, is the most important. It's probably both our jaw-dropping moments. But that sort of sells the whole movie.
You know, it's funny. I didn't put this in my bullet notes, but you kind of brought up this question for me. What did you think of the horror element?
So we saw this in that Dolby Atmos theater.
Yeah, very loud.
Very loud. I mean, you laughed at my reaction of jumping a couple of times.
I
because
did.
I
You're
am
hilarious.
So jumpy. I mean, when there's a loud jump scare, I do get airborne out of the seats. You've seen it.
It's true. JawHeads, if you think we're exaggerating, Ryan literally, there's air.
Yeah, it's like I'm so jumpy at that stuff, and it got me at least 3 times where I went airborne out of the seat. And so that was fun, and I love the setting of Venice. And Venice at night and storming with the water.
But there's some creepy parts to this movie, like Poirot's sort of losing his mind. He's seeing things.
And the lighting of the movie, because they're inside, that house that loses power and they got to use, candles and whatnot. So there was the lighting of it, the idea that Michelle Yeoh's character is talking to the dead. I thought that horror element is good. You calling it a horror movie wouldn't go that far.
I think it's a horror movie. I'm not saying it's like
it's a murder mystery with a tinge of horror.
I'd say it's a horror movie with a very strong murder mystery theme. It's
semantics, as you like to say.
Maybe it's semantics. There's less mystery and more horror. I don't know. I thought the horror element was pretty well done here. All right, here's my last question. I didn't mention any of the major flaws. Did we go over them? I feel like we've touched on them a little bit.
Yeah, I think
let's nitpick.
The problem that I have with these movies all the time, and what I had told you walking out, and you did touch on this a little bit, is that they always give a couple of characters the vibe that, okay, this is the person who did it. They steer you.
Sure, the red herrings.
The red herrings. They steer you towards
the red herons.
Boom, boom. They steer you towards a couple of characters all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're supposed to do.
I know. But in this case, I think they do it too much. Too much to the point where I even said to you, it's...
The red herring is a red herring.
Right. It's already over the top. Like, okay, I know it's not this person because you're going so crazy to get me to think that...
What if it was that person, That's what they need to do.
They're not smart enough movies that are,
Well, they're based on books. I wonder
know.
if they changed the...
Maybe. I've never read Agatha Christie myself. Maybe I did when I was in grade school, but I don't remember it. But
Same.
I think that would be somewhat of a nitpick for me. How about you?
Not too much. I mean, I think that at least this movie was pretty tight. It really was. I don't know who the actress was that plays like the main female protagonist. She's like the matron of this house that they're in. Her performance was a little lackluster. Tina Fey was great. Man, I'm trying to think of a good nitpick here, but I don't really have any. That basement scene. You say this isn't a horror movie, man. It was pretty scary. Yeah, that's it for me. I mean, just that one performance was left a little to be desired. Otherwise, I thought this was this is the best Kenneth Branagh, Agatha Christie adaptation we've gotten.
I agree with that. My jaw-dropping moments was the seance scene with Michelle Yeoh, and more or less the follow-up scene of Poirot solving the mystery on how she does some of her tricks. Now, that's not to say, not to say that she doesn't have the ability to talk to the dead, but there's things being done in the room to help enhance the situation that they're in, to give everybody this idea that something big is happening in the room. And those are just like tricks of the trade. And it reminded me very much of when Daniel Craig solved the murder mystery in Glass Onion of the actual dinner
like 10
party,
seconds,
right? It's the murder mystery dinner party. And they're like, well, this is what was going to happen. He just goes through the whole entire thing and solves it. Didn't it remind you a little of that? It was like he just knew this, and this. This is how this is done.
I didn't put that together until just now, but yes, you're absolutely right.
I enjoyed that. And that was a good like comedic beat because that's not the mystery of the movie. So I'm not spoiling anything here, Jawheads. That's just like one beat in the film. And then the mystery really takes place and then goes forth from there. But that I thought was excellent. That's when I was like the most invested in the movie. I think if anything, I got a little tired with trying to figure it out. It was a little tiresome, but not terrible. I still like this movie. I'm positive, but that was the high point for me.
Okay, so here's what I think. All right, my jaw-dropping moment is the ghost of the little girl. And I won't elaborate because I think it would be spoilers if I did. But I think the reason this one stands up above the other two, and the reason why I'm calling it a horror movie, is because there is an element of the supernatural in here that obviously a guy like Hercule Poirot, who's a skeptic, is trying to reconcile throughout the whole movie. Like, is this or isn't this happening? Am I losing my mind? There are things that I can't explain going on. And that is what made this a little bit better, because as the audience, we don't know. It's presented in a way that we're not sure if it's real or not. You know, it was like an adult Scooby-Doo, you know, and I kept waiting to find out who the mask was going to get pulled off of. It was scary and good, and that's why I put the little girl ghost, because he sees somebody who shouldn't be there, and are they or are they not there? Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
That was good. That was good. As far as a movie poster quote, I went with a haunting good time.
I'm sticking with the Scooby-Doo thing, and I said, Branagh, Scooby done it.
Scooby snacks.
How many jaws you giving this
So
one?
I went 2.5 jaws.
I think you're being a little tight on the jaws there, buddy.
Whoa, yeah?
Yeah, I went 3.5.
Oh.
Maybe I'm being generous. Split the difference.
Generous.
Let's call it 3.
Too generous on your behalf. But
let's just call it an even 3.
2.5 for Rye the Movie Guy. 3.5 for Matt Kay.
This is a great
Haunting
movie.
In Venice.
Lots of fun.
Don't talk it up too much. It's a very solid movie. It's not.
No, I think you need to bring it up a bit.
It is playing in theaters everywhere. Jawheads, if you see it, let us know what you think. Shoot us an email, feedback@cinemajaw.com.
Shoot us an X.
We are at CinemaJaw.
Especially for Phil.
So
they like the X.
We are going to play some Stump the Kubinski. 5 questions. You need 3 or more correct, Matt.
Got it.
We are playing Michelle Yeoh movie trivia.
Hey, yo. I forgot. I'm going to do this in Sylvester Stallone's accent.
That would be annoying to the Jawheads. Here we go.
They love the Sylvester.
No less annoying than our Seth Rogen laughing, so I say we give it to Matt.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. Cut it out, Seth. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Are you ready, Matt?
I am.
Michelle Yeoh was in one Marvel movie. Name it.
Oh, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
That is correct.
You gave me a Marvel movie question?
Nice, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Question 2. Michelle Yeoh was in the original Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in the year 2000. Was she in the Netflix sequel Sword of the Destiny in 2016? It's a yes or a no.
Yeah, total guess on my part.
50-50 chance.
50-50 chance. Yes.
That is correct. Question 3, Matt. Can you keep it perfect? With its March 25th release date, Everything Everywhere All at Once became the earliest release to win Best Picture since this film in 1991. What film came out early in the year, won Best Picture in 1991?
Wow. Okay. 91. God. Man, I almost have absolutely no idea. Don't know.
That is incorrect.
You blew it!
We were looking for Silence of the Lambs.
Got to give me a clue, like, are the lambs still screaming, Clarice?
Yeah, a clue. More like a layup.
Yeah.
Spell out the answers.
You would have enjoyed this with some fava beans.
It is 3 questions in. Matt has 2 correct. Question 4. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Yeoh was in one Danny Boyle-directed film. It also starred Chris Evans and Cillian Murphy and had to do with Our Dying Son. Michelle Yeoh was in a Danny Boyle-directed film that starred Chris Evans, Cillian Murphy, and had to do with Our Dying Son.
Chris Evans, huh? The Snowpiercer?
That is incorrect.
You blew
Come
it!
on.
We were looking for Sunshine.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
'Cause I still can win, right?
You can.
Okay.
It's the last question. I
Is it
love
a
when
Marvel
it comes down
question?
to this one. No, but you should be able to get it. Matt, in 2016, Michelle Yeoh starred in Mechanic Resurrection. Which actor plays the lead in the Mechanic movies? You have The Mechanic and you have Mechanic Resurrection. It's an action star. Which actor plays the mechanic, the lead actor?
Well, okay. Sylvester Stallone is in The Expendables. And Denzel Washington is the Equalizer. Vin Diesel is the pacifier. The Rock, he's in The Rundown. Damn it. Who? An action star? Oh, Jason Statham.
Matt, that is correct.
Wow.
Let's go rescue your silly raccoon.
That was one of the best process of elimination. Can you believe I got to that one?
No, I really can't.
That's crazy. He's like, well, who the hell could it be? It's got to be Jason Statham.
Yep. Jason Statham, the mechanic. I saw the first Mechanic movie and it was fair, you know?
Have you seen the Crank movies?
I saw the first Crank also.
I hear those are actually kind of fun.
Yeah, that one was enjoyable.
Doesn't he have to like electrocute himself?
Yeah,
to,
every so many minutes or something. I forget exactly what it is to keep going. Yeah.
I got to watch those. You know what? I got to rewatch Hardcore Henry. I love that movie.
Watched that one not too long ago on like Pluto TV kind of deal where I caught it and I ended up watching like 40 minutes of it. And I was like, this is fun.
It's nonstop, right?
It is.
It's a good movie. Anyway.
Matt is not stumped on Michelle Yeoh trivia. Well done, Matt K.
Hell yeah. Save that silly raccoon.
Brings us to the end of a great Jaw. First and foremost, we got to thank Phil.
Thank you so much. As always, I know you guys are getting sick and tired of hearing out. You're going to hear about it until it happens. I got the art show, the Pancakes and Booze at Reggie's in Bridgeport, September 29th and 30th. I hope to see you guys there. And in the honor of me, and we'll put Matt in here too, because both of us, our birthdays are around the same time. Ryan pointed out, my birthday was this past Monday. This is the first Jaw where everybody has been over 30. Honestly, probably since the Reno days, I really think.
That's what I was guessing, was the Reno days.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the late Elias years. We'd have to really double check that.
Depending on how late the Elias years, me and TJ were here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fat Hands TJ. Always forget about Fat Hands.
How could you forget?
I know.
Hands that size.
It's a big hands.
It's good times. That is good times right there. Matt, we also got to thank our Patreons.
Hey, thank you, Patreons. Are we going to record something right now for the
We
Patreons?
are. You know, I saw, like I said, just about 20 movies over at Toronto. So I'm going to do a little bit further recap on movies I didn't touch on here on the main podcast for the Patreons as a little extra. If you want to join us over on Patreon, it would mean the world to us. Just head on over to Patreon/CinemaJaw. I should say Patreon.com/CinemaJaw.
Do it.
Absolutely. Another way you can support us, and an even easier way, is just by leaving us a review or a star rating wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, wherever you're listening to this, pull your phone out of your pocket and just click some buttons, because I'm sure that will help us. If you see a little heart or a little star, tap it.
Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt K.
And keep on jawing about the movies.